Welcome to the deep dive. So, if you're tuning in right now because, well, you're trying to change something in your life, maybe achieve a really specific, meaningful goal.
Or maybe just find a way to feel, fundamentally, genuinely happier.
Right. But you feel like you keep hitting the same invisible roadblocks over and over again. It's like you're working so hard, but that progress you really crave just, it doesn't seem to stick.
And if that sounds familiar, if that describes your daily reality, we want to kick off this deep dive with something really foundational. It's a piece of knowledge that, honestly, research just keeps reinforcing across the board.
Okay. What is it?
The primary problem. It isn't actually a lack of effort on your part, not usually. The problem is often the immense, frankly, unsustainable power you unknowingly give away to other people.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Oh, we are absolute masters at this, aren't we? We do it reflexively, almost like breathing. We think, if I just write the perfect email.
Maybe my boss will finally see my value.
Or, gosh, if I just bend over backward one more time, absorb all this stress, maybe my partner won't be disappointed again.
Mhm.
And we find ourselves trying desperately to be friendly enough, so coworkers approve of us, or constantly trying to keep the peace during family gatherings just to head off those judgmental comments about our life choices.
And this cycle, this self-diminishing loop, well, that's what we call the control trap.
Yeah.
You're perpetually trying to manage these external factors.
Right.
And that behavior, it creates a really debilitating cost.
Which brings us, I think, directly to our mission for this deep dive today. We're going to unpack a mechanism, a theory, really, that offers a kind of radical shortcut to freedom. It's called the let them theory.
That's right.
We're going to explore how this really simple idea can almost surgically help you reclaim your most precious resources. We're talking your time, your energy, and, critically, your happiness.
And it does this by forcing you really to focus exclusively on the one small area of life you can actually truly control.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit more. The high cost of this control trap. When you're constantly trying to control things that are fundamentally external, like someone else's mood or their opinion of you, what does that actually look like day to day?
Well, the sources we looked at, they paint a very clear picture.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's kind of devastating when you see it laid out. Think about the common behavior, right? You work harder, you bend further, you soften your boundaries, maybe more than you should.
Yeah.
But the outcome, it's almost always this negative feedback loop. You just perpetually shrink yourself smaller, trying to fit into some shape that you think others will approve of.
Right, and maybe you get momentary peace from that, but...
Exactly. But you're still constantly facing disappointment or external criticism or just that deeply draining internal feeling that no matter what you do, it's just never enough.
And what's the tangible cost of feeling like that? It's not just emotional, is it? It's cognitive, too.
Oh, absolutely. The sources really detail the immense cognitive load. Think about it. You're trying to manage other people's expectations constantly. You're spending all this mental bandwidth on mind reading, scenario planning.
Anticipating slights.
Yes. Anticipating slights, crafting responses to hypothetical conflicts that might never even happen.
Wow.
That mental effort. That's the opportunity cost. That's the real price. It shows up as late nights at work, maybe, or this endless pursuit of external validation that never quite satisfies.
Or, gosh, years of your life just distracted by, like, a meaningless drama that could have been dedicated to your own goals, your own happiness.
Precisely. You are literally borrowing stress. That's a great way to put it. You're taking on the burden of managing someone else's emotional state or their reaction. So the promise of this theory we're exploring today is actually quite simple. It's freedom. It's about immediately stopping that massive waste of time, energy, and happiness that you spend managing other people's opinions, their moods, their actions.
You've basically been bleeding your personal power without even realizing it.
Exactly. And this deep dive is about applying the tourniquet,
Yeah.
taking that power back.
Okay. So when you stop being the chief emotional officer for everyone around you,
Yeah, that's good.
you realize just how much power you actually possess yourself. Which brings us, I think, to the mechanism itself, the surprisingly simple idea at the heart of this.
Yeah, it's called the let them theory.
Yep.
And, despite the sort of philosophical depth it can touch on, its real power lies in its immediate simplicity. It's an idea centered entirely on freedom.
Freedom and just immediately shedding that burden, right? That burden of managing external relationships, external reactions.
That's it. And it really boils down to just two simple but potentially transformative words. Let them. Let them. And look, it's not about being apathetic or resigning yourself to failure or anything like that. It's designed specifically to instantly free you from that feeling of obligation, the obligation to control or manage what other people are doing or thinking or saying. Because when you stop obsessing over those external variables, you immediately free up cognitive space. You free up energy, and you can pour that back into your own life.
Right. So you shift. You move from constantly reacting to finally, maybe deliberately, starting to live.
That's the core shift.
Yeah.
Instead of driving yourself crazy trying to manage everyone or argue with them or please them, you simply learn to acknowledge the situation, mentally disengage, and just internally say, let them.
Okay, let's make this practical. Can we apply this to some, really common, frustrating scenarios, the kind of things we all run into?
Absolutely. Let's take two from the source material that really illustrate how this simple mental shift operates. First one, the grumpy colleague.
Yes, we've all been there.
Right. You walk into the office, it's not even 9 a.m., and your teammate is just radiating this palpable negativity.
Ugh. Yeah.
Now, historically, your reaction pathway might involve what? Trying to cheer them up, asking if everything's okay.
Or worse, letting their foul mood actually infect your own performance, ruin your focus for the whole morning.
Exactly. You end up wasting like half an hour processing their bad day.
Okay, so how does let them apply here?
It's instantaneous. You mentally recognize the negativity, you see it, you feel it, but the response is simply, let them be grumpy. Their mood is a reflection of their internal state, right? Their choices, maybe their rough morning commute. It is genuinely not your problem to solve.
So you just focus on your work, your own tasks.
Precisely. You focus on your deliverables, and really crucially, you focus on maintaining your own internal peace. The energy drain just stops immediately.
Okay, that makes sense for a colleague. What about something closer to home, something maybe more painful?
Right. The second example often hits harder because it involves intimacy, the judgmental family member.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Holiday dinners, right?
Exactly. Maybe you're at a gathering and a parent or an aunt or whoever makes some kind of scathing comment about your career path, your partner, maybe your decision to move across the country.
And the source describes it hitting you like a brick, that feeling.
Yes, that gut punch. Now, historically, the reaction is probably to launch into a defense, right? Rationalizing, justifying.
And spending the next 48 hours replaying the whole argument in your head.
Exactly. But the theory interrupts this whole painful cycle. The response is, let him or let her, let them have their opinions.
Even if they're hurtful or just plain wrong.
Even then. Because their, let's say, outdated judgment doesn't actually change the reality of who you are. It doesn't change what you've accomplished or your fundamental right to make decisions for your own happiness.
So the comment only holds power if you allow it to. If you let it penetrate your self-worth.
That is the absolute core of the power shift we talked about. Other people, they actually hold zero real power over you unless you willingly, maybe even unconsciously, give it to them. When you stop fighting to change people or battling to control situations like trying to win that family argument, you stop wasting those precious resources.
You get back your time, your peace of mind, the focus you need for your own life decisions.
Exactly. And this leads us straight to that crucial realization we touched on earlier. Well, it's called the let them theory.
It's profoundly and entirely about you.
Yes. It's about your time and your energy. Those are the most precious, non-renewable resources you possess.
It's kind of a paradox then, isn't it?
It really is. The paradox of freedom. By releasing the need to control the external, you paradoxically reclaim internal control. Your happiness becomes tied to your own actions and reactions, not someone else's unpredictable behavior or their opinions or their mood.
So learning how to let adults be adults, basically. Let people live their own lives.
That's the singular path, according to this theory, to radically improving your own life. And maybe surprisingly, even improving the quality of your relationships in the long run.
How so?
Because when you stop trying to manage them, when you stop giving your power away, you finally see how much internal power you actually possess. And you can relate to them from a place of strength, not resentment or exhaustion.
What's really fascinating about this whole concept is the origin story. It wasn't like born out of years of deep academic study or some philosophical retreat, right?
Not at all. It actually came from a moment of pure parental exhaustion, panic, chaos, all centered around a high school prom.
Okay, tell us about that. The source material recounts this anecdote, and it really highlights the contrast, doesn't it, between the extreme stress of trying to control everything
And the sheer relief of just accepting chaos.
Yeah.
The setup involved the host's two older daughters' proms, and as many parents listening might know, those were apparently months-long logistical, well, military operation.
The perfect dresses, the specific dates lined up way in advance, the spray tans, the makeup
The
artists.
precisely chosen corsages, the rented party bus schedules. It sounds like exhausting planning, all aimed at achieving perfection.
Okay. Then came the son, Oakley.
And Oakley was the complete antithesis of this planned perfection. He basically epitomized chaos.
Oh.
Well, he apparently communicated zero details about prom. Wasn't even sure he was going until, like, the week of. Everything was just this terrifying last-minute scramble.
Like what?
The tuxedo rental, finding these very specific non-negotiable sneakers he had to have, the logistics, and finding a date a mere 48 hours before the event.
Wow. That sounds stressful.
Extremely. And the host describes this poignant moment, watching her husband fix Oakley's bow tie and just feeling that classic parental pang. You know, that sense of time passing, watching the kids grow up.
Feeling like the time left with them is like a melting ice cube, as the source put it.
Exactly. And here's the insidious part of that control trap we talked about. You can't stop the ice cube from melting, right?
Right.
But in trying to make the most of the time you do have, you often get so worked up about things that, frankly, don't really matter.
That you end up ruining the brief, precious moments you were trying so hard to hold on to in the first place.
Precisely. And that moment of tenderness, watching the bow tie, instantly shattered.
Ugh.
First, a small annoyance. The dishes left in the sink. Again.
Classic.
Then came the specific conflict that became the immediate catalyst for the whole theory. The corsage intervention.
Ah, the corsage. I remember reading this. She'd put a lot of effort into this corsage.
Oh, absolutely. Meticulously researched flower trends, went down to the shop, procured what she described as a beautiful, killer corsage. You know, a gesture of love, sure, but maybe also a little bit of a gesture of control over the aesthetic experience.
Okay. And Oakley's reaction.
Instant rejection. Racing out the door, he apparently just said, "Mom, she doesn't want a corsage. Don't bring that."
Ouch. But she couldn't just drop it, could she?
Nope. That little piece of control felt too important in the moment. She felt annoyed, probably hurt that her effort was just dismissed. So she rationalized.
I'll just bring it with us, just in case. If she changes her mind, it's here.
Exactly. Oakley insisted she leave it. Even the older daughter, Kendall, apparently weighed in, saying something like, "Mom, just drop it. He's nervous. It's fine."
But did she drop it?
Of course not. This is the micromanager's classic move, right?
No.
She put the corsage in her purse anyway and headed off to the pre-prom photos, setting the stage for the climax of misplaced effort.
Okay, so what happened at the photos?
They arrive. Oakley's date pulls out a matching boutonniere for him, which is sweet. But the host, unable to stop herself, reaches into her purse
Oh, no.
and pulls out that corsage like it was a winning lottery ticket.
Cringe.
Totally. She presents it, saying she had it made up just in case. Oakley naturally gives her a look that could, melt steel.
I can imagine.
And then comes the moment of just profound failure. The date graciously accepts it, only for the host to realize the girl was already wearing a beautiful handmade corsage on her other wrist.
Oh, wow. Mortifying.
The host said she instantly wished she could just evaporate. And Kendall, the older daughter, just rolled her eyes, basically witnessing the epic fail of attempted micromanagement.
Okay, so that's the aesthetic control failure. But it didn't end there, did it?
Not even close. That was just the prelude to the logistical nightmare, the taco bar disaster.
Taco bar disaster.
As the photos finished, it started to absolutely pour down rain. A sudden, torrential, totally unforecasted storm.
Oh, great. And let me guess, nobody had umbrellas or jackets. 20 kids in black tie.
Not a single one.
Yeah.
They were all going to get drenched.
And the kids probably didn't care.
Didn't care one bit, but the parents, totally spiraling. And then the next crisis hit when the host realized none of the 20 kids had a dinner reservation.
What? Before prom?
Yep. For the host, whose daughters had secured those reservations months in advance, this was just unthinkable chaos. A complete logistical failure in her eyes.
So what was their grand plan for dinner?
Their plan: head to a place called Amigos Taqueria, described as a great taco place, but essentially the size of a shed, maybe 4 tables inside.
For 20 kids in black tie, walking through a downpour, with no reservation, before prom.
The absurdity was overwhelming for the parents. And the host recounts that immediate, classic parental reaction. Dozens of parents instantly start swarming, trying to take over the situation.
Trying to fix it.
Exactly. The host felt that familiar, out-of-control physiological feeling, where your body is 2 steps ahead of your mind and you just can't stop yourself from trying to fix something that isn't actually yours to fix.
So she pulled out her phone, started looking for restaurants.
Frantically searching for sit-down reservations. When that failed, she started yelling out options for pizza delivery, just total panic mode.
Okay, so this is peak control freak moment. What happened next?
That's when the older daughter, Kendall, stepped in again. Apparently, she literally grabbed her mother's arm, pulled her close amidst all the chaos, and just delivered the revelation.
What did she say?
She said, "Mom, if Oakley and his friends want to go to a taco bar for pre-prom,
Let them.
let them." There it is. And when the host started resisting, focusing on the disaster, they'll get soaked, his new sneakers will be ruined. Kendall just doubled down with this, like clinical precision.
What did she say then?
"Mom, let them get soaked, then let them get ruined." And then the real moment of clarity. "Mom, you're being annoying. Let them show up to prom in wet tuxedos and dresses. Let them go eat where they want. It's their prom, not yours. Just drop it."
Wow. Oh, that's a wow.
And that phrase, "in that moment," it had an immediate, almost physical, transformative effect on the host.
How so?
She described the tension that had been building up in her shoulders, just softening. Her mind stopped its frantic racing. The stress of trying to control the uncontrollable simply evaporated.
And she shifted her focus.
Exactly. Why spend all this mental and physical energy worrying about their potentially disastrous dinner plans when she could focus on enjoying her own evening?
So she stopped trying to fix it.
The monumental shift was complete. Stop controlling it, stop judging it, stop trying to fix it. Just let
And the resolution.
instant and profound. The host simply handed Oakley $40 for Amico's Taqueria and genuinely wished him an awesome prom.
And the final image, watching them go.
Yeah, this is the key reflective moment. She watched them all run off through the pouring rain, splashing mud onto the date's beautiful gown, probably ruining Oakley's brand new sneakers.
And instead of the stress or panic she would have felt just moments earlier.
She realized, I didn't care. In fact, she thought it was kind of cute.
Wow.
That one moment, born of total surrender to the chaos, apparently fundamentally changed her entire approach to life from that point on. #TagTag by Vessi. The viral impact and personal transformation.
So that anecdotal relief she felt, that letting go at the prom, it wasn't just a one-off thing.
Not at all. The source material really details a widespread, immediate effect in her daily life afterwards. She said she felt fundamentally different within about a week just because she had this new, simple tool in her mental toolkit.
And she just started applying let them to everything.
Pretty much. Yeah. Anytime she felt that telltale tightening, that stress, that tension, that frustration, she started noticing it was almost always tied to something someone else was doing or thinking or saying.
So the constant mental grip she had on life just loosened.
Completely.
Yeah.
Think about the daily applications she described. Let the bakery be sold out of bagels this morning. Okay. Let the neighbor's dog bark all afternoon. Fine. Let the family be running late for dinner.
Let relatives be judgmental about her career choices.
Exactly. Let people hate a photo she posted online. Let her mother-in-law disagree with her parenting choices. Let them.
And the result of all this letting them.
All those daily mundane worries that used to feel so monumental, so draining, they just started to roll off her back. And this is the great payoff, really. The brain space.
Thought about it.
The brain space that was once overflowing with what she calls dumb worries, annoyances, and drama suddenly became available. Available for creative thought, for proactive planning, for actually enjoying her life.
That sounds incredibly liberating.
It was. She described it as things and people that used to constantly drain her battery just didn't register in the same way anymore. That tight grip was gone, replaced by this profound sense of ease and happiness and just being centered.
And she gained back time too, right?
Absolutely. Time to think, time to breathe, time to actually focus on herself and her own goals instead of constantly managing everyone else's stuff.
So the impact was so significant for her personally that she felt she had to share it.
Exactly. That led to this massive, totally unexpected global response when she posted about it online. It was just a simple, 60-second video explaining the theory.
And she gave examples.
Yeah, really clear, crystal clear examples for everyday life, stuff people could relate to immediately.
And what was the core message of that video, the thing that resonated so widely?
It was pretty straightforward. If your friends aren't inviting you out to brunch, okay, let them. If the person you're really attracted to clearly doesn't want commitment, let them. If your kid doesn't want to follow your perfectly crafted summer schedule, let them. The theory really emphasizes that we waste a phenomenal amount of energy trying to force other people to match our expectations or our timelines or our personal definitions of success and happiness.
So if someone could be a partner, a business colleague, a family member, if they're fundamentally not showing up the way you need them to.
The instruction is transformative. Don't try to argue them into changing. Don't try to force them. Just let them be themselves, because in doing so, they are actively revealing exactly who they are to you.
And once you accept that reality, that truth about who they are, then you get to choose what you do next.
That's the absolute key pivot. The choice becomes yours again.
And the response to this online was big.
Staggering is the word used. The metrics were just incredible. Within only 24 hours, over 15 million people had watched that short video.
Wow.
Within a week, that number blew up to 60 million. And the comment section was flooded with people from all over the world sharing their own specific let them moments, these little epiphanies they were having.
So it wasn't just a viral moment, it crossed over.
Rapidly. News outlets started covering it, sure. But maybe more importantly, actual licensed mental health professionals, psychologists, therapists, they started writing these detailed blog posts analyzing the theory.
And were they critical of it, or?
Mostly, they endorsed it.
Huh?
Because they recognized it aligns perfectly with fundamental cognitive behavioral techniques. That stuff centered on accepting what you can't control.
That makes sense.
And then, when the host recorded a longer, deep dive discussion about her experience, like we're doing now,
Yeah.
that audio deep dive was shared so widely that Apple actually named it the 6th most shared podcast episode of the year, globally.
6th in the world, just from the simple idea.
It proved this wasn't just some fleeting social media trend. It clearly addressed a fundamental, maybe unmet human need for autonomy and, frankly, peace.
Okay, but maybe the most profound proof you mentioned, the tattoos.
Yeah, that was the ultimate transformation signal. People around the world actually started permanently inking let them on their bodies.
Getting a tattoo of it.
A tattoo? I mean, that's a serious commitment to a philosophy, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of widespread, immediate, profound adoption, that really forced a much deeper dive into the why. Why does this work so effectively? Which led directly into the science behind it.
Okay, so let's shift gears then. From the anecdote, the viral spread, to the hard data. You mentioned the host spent 2 years researching this after it blew up.
That's right. Rigorously researching it, speaking to leading experts in, psychology, neuroscience, behavioral science, stress management, the whole gamut.
And the consensus, did the science back it up?
Overwhelmingly, yes. The scientific consensus is clear. This works because it fundamentally aligns with how our brains are actually wired.
How so? What's the wiring?
It all comes down to a fundamental, hardwired law of human nature. Our deep-seated, innate need for control. All human beings possess this drive to control every aspect of our lives if we can.
Our schedules, our thoughts, our actions.
Our immediate environment, and really crucially, our projected future. We want to know what's coming and feel like we have a handle on it.
And why is that need so strong from an evolutionary perspective?
It's deeply rooted in survival, comfort, and safety. Feeling in control minimizes perceived threat. Our brains naturally interpret anything outside of our control, anything uncertain, as a potential threat.
Okay.
And because we're constantly seeking comfort and safety, we naturally try to expend that control outwards. We try to control everyone and everything around us.
Often without even realizing the physiological cost of that constant effort, the stress it puts on us.
Exactly. Now, let's bring in a scientific framework here that really underpins the friction this creates. It's a concept from personality psychology called the locus of control.
Locus of control. Okay, what's that?
It basically refers to how strongly people believe they have control over the events and experiences that affect their lives, where they locate the control.
So there are different types?
Broadly, yes. If you have a predominantly external locus of control, you tend to believe that events, outcomes, your personal happiness, it's all primarily dictated by outside forces.
Like other people, or fate, or just random chance.
Exactly. So if you're constantly trying to manage your grumpy colleague's mood, or trying to win over that judgmental relative, you're operating from a deeply external locus of control. Your internal peace feels dependent on their actions.
And that clashes with reality, doesn't it?
It clashes headlong with the single immutable limit of control. Research, psychology, heck, just real-world experience proves time and time again You will never, ever be able to truly control or fundamentally change another person.
No matter how persuasive you are or how much energy you pour into it.
Nope. That person will ultimately act according to their own internal locus, their own motivations, their own nature, their own wiring.
Okay, so if we can't control others, what can we control?
The only things you are ever truly fully in control of are you, your thoughts, your actions, your feelings, or rather, your responses to your feelings.
And for too long, most of us, maybe the listener included, have been fighting this fundamental law.
Constantly fighting it, trying to change people, battling to control situations that are inherently uncontrollable, worrying endlessly about what others say or think or do.
And that constant futile fighting, that resistance against the reality of external control, that's the source of the stress.
That's precisely where so much unnecessary stress comes from. The high cognitive load, the emotional friction in our lives and our relationships. The let them theory is so profound because it simply stops the resistance. It encourages you to embrace the natural flow of human nature, not fight against it.
Okay, so this brings us to the full picture, the synthesis that the research revealed. It's not just let them.
Correct. That is absolutely crucial. Let them is only the first half of the equation. You could think of it as the diagnostic step or maybe the release.
The release?
Yeah, it's the moment you consciously decide to stop wasting your precious energy on the uncontrollable what other people say, think, or do.
Mm-hmm.
You let go of that struggle.
Okay, so if let them is the release, what's the second essential step?
The second step is the action. Let me. This is where you stop looking outward for the solution or the control, and you immediately pour that newly reclaimed energy.
The bandwidth you freed up from not worrying about the taco bar or the corsage.
Exactly. You pour that energy back into what you can control. Your life, your actions, your choices, your responses.
So the transition is from let them release the external to let me focus on the internal.
That's the profound paradox we mentioned. By consciously letting go of trying to control the external, you instantly shift your perspective towards an internal locus of control.
Meaning you recognize you control your own part.
Precisely. You recognize that while you cannot control the input, the judgmental comment, the rejection, the grumpy mood, you have complete control over the output. Your response, your boundary setting, your pivot, your next move.
Can you give an example of that? Let me step in action.
Sure. So the moment someone reveals who they are, say a friend consistently doesn't invite you to things, or a potential partner clearly shows they aren't looking for commitment, let them means accepting that reality without trying to force it to be different.
Okay, accept it, then what?
Then let me kicks in. Let me choose the next constructive action. Let me set a boundary about how I expect to be treated. Let me seek out friendships that are reciprocal and fulfilling. Let me pursue a career path that aligns with my values, regardless of my parents' outdated opinions.
So let me is about taking empowered action based on the reality revealed by let them.
Exactly. This is the foundational next step for the listener to really explore and apply. It's where the real transformation happens.
And this applies across different areas of life.
Absolutely. The theory's effectiveness is proven to have the biggest positive impact across 8 core areas where these control battles are most common. Think about relationships, obviously, but also career.
How does it apply to career?
Instead of trying to constantly read your boss's mind or manage their moods, it's let them have their management style and let me focus on delivering excellent work and clearly communicating my needs and boundaries. Let me seek feedback proactively instead of guessing.
Okay. What about emotions or stress?
Managing stress. Let them drive like maniacs in traffic. And let me focus on my breathing, listen to something calming, and control my own reaction. Managing emotions. Let them feel how they feel, and let me choose how I respond to their feelings without taking responsibility for them.
Makes sense. It seems to hit things like comparison, too.
Oh, chronic comparison, definitely.
Uh,
Let them post their perfect highlight reel on social media, and let me celebrate my own unique journey, my own progress, my own reality, instead of trying to match an illusion.
Love life, friendships, dealing with struggles.
Same pattern repeats. Let them be who they are, reveal their capacity or limitations, and let me decide what that means for my choices, my boundaries, my investments of time and energy.
So over and over, the science is confirming the same basic realization.
Yes, that we've been exhausting ourselves trying to control the wrong things, and in doing so, we've often unknowingly turned other people who should ideally be sources of joy and support into problems that we feel we constantly have to manage.
When the truth is, other people should be adding to our lives, not draining us.
Exactly. But they absolutely cannot serve that positive function if you are perpetually exhausted by trying to control what they feel, what they say, and what they do.
So mastering this let them theory, it's about stopping that drain.
It's about stopping the draining exhaustion of controlling the uncontrollable
Hmm.
and realizing that by accepting others as they truly are, you fully claim the right and the energy to redesign how you live your entire life completely on your own terms. Hashtag Chagasav outro.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive has really shown, I think, that the path to living life truly authentically on your own terms. It really begins by releasing that relentless need to manage all the external factors.
It's really an exercise in profound self-focus and actually self-respect, saying my energy matters.
Right. We've established the core lesson here. That vast amount of energy you've likely been wasting. The hours spent worrying about a grumpy colleague or rehashing that argument with a judgmental relative or trying to orchestrate a chaotic prom plan.
All that energy can now be reclaimed. It's available for your time, for self-care, for focused, constructive action in your own life.
So we covered that key idea. When people reveal who they are to you through their actions, their words, their consistency or lack thereof, you then get to choose what you do next.
The choice shifts back to you.
Okay, so if you, listening right now, accept that fundamental law we discussed that you absolutely cannot control other people, this raises, I think, a really important final question for you to consider. A provocative thought to take away.
What's the question?
In which of your core relationships right now, maybe professional, maybe personal, have you been stubbornly resisting this immutable law? Where have you been fighting reality, trying to force something?
Good question. Identifying that resistance.
Yeah. And once you identify that, the crucial follow-up is, what specific proactive action will embracing the let me step allow you to choose, maybe even starting today?